Hello everyone, it's Friday night and it is time for the Weekender once more. We're back and rested from UKGE and we have a wealth of gaming news to bring you from across the last 7 days in the industry. On top of all of that, to commemorate the D-Day landings, we have a prize from store.ontabletop.com. We have a Bolt Action Band of Brothers bundle containing the starter set, a Sherman and a Stug. And if you want a chance to win that, you need to come over to ontabletop.com. Find this video there, post a comment below. If you need to, you may have to make a free account, but it costs you nothing. So there you go, sit back and relax, folks, because your weekend starts here. Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by Brother Lloyd and Ben.
Hello.
Hola. And we're here to bring you a week's worth of gaming goodness now that we've recovered from the UK Games Expo.
More or less.
More or less. Well, so far none of us have come down with a healthy dose of con crud yet, which is...
that is true. Yeah.
A bonus.
We managed to avoid that. Yes.
And unexpected. Yeah, but we've got a lot going on. So if people didn't manage to make it to the Expo and missed our coverage, which would be terrible, or if you made it to the Expo and therefore didn't see our coverage, you can come over and have a look at it, because we had a lot going on. We had so much jam-packed videos here, there, everywhere, interviews, even some live Let's Plays on stage from people.
That was very funny.
Yeah. Well, if you come on over to our website and go into the UK Games Expo section, link below, you'll see there was the live stream, but that's over now, so we'll scroll past that. But here you can find the live blog and all the on-demand recorded versions of the live stream. And if you don't know what the live blog is, I'll just click through into that. Hey, here's Ben. Look at that, looking all cute on the live blog.
Look, we're like twins, Ben. We've got some tops up.
If you scroll down through this, you'll get little reports from all through the weekend. Lots of little reports of all the things that we've seen. So if you're watching the live stream and you're like, oh, damn, I wanted to see that bit again, but I can't find it in the 5 hours of live stream. Come on over here and you'll find all the little video clips that we shot. Plus pictures to go with it. Look. Oh, that's a nice stand. I don't think I ever was there.
I was down in Hall 1, just between Conquest and Ares Games, if I remember correctly.
So that's why you picked that up then. Yeah, that's very cool.
Oh, well, I picked it up because I was walking behind Justin and Justin went, Vikings!
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And then ran off towards them.
Yeah. That's the live blog. And then, like I say, you can still go on demand if you want to watch your Saturday.
They're all on YouTube.
Hello, look. Saturday. Well, one's on Twitch and two are on YouTube. So just come on over to the website and you can find all three.
Yeah, very nice. It was really cool though, because we got to talk to a whole bunch of indie creators as well as the big boys as well, which was really nice. So there's a very good mix of different content from UKGE, and it was absolutely heaving. So hopefully a lot of traders and such went away with lots of money.
Yeah.
I would hope.
And more importantly, just getting their name out there.
Yeah.
Because there were some great bits and pieces kicking around, games, miniatures, general products, that some of which I'd never heard of before. I went off to the indie corner, actually, as I christened it, where Monston lives. I think that's it. And in
What's
that area,
Monston? Is Monston a person or a game or a company?
Oh, it's a game. It's where you have to collect these
you won't have
Monstons that come out at night. I believe it's multi-award winning. Anyway, but around the corner from that, there was, say, brand new. There were a couple of ladies with this rule text thing, which I absolutely adored. So I've got a couple to play with, so they'll be popping up on the OTT site in a jerry can in the not too distant future. But they're little ball rollers to do texture on bases and stuff like that. This one's wood, so the three little ball rollers the fact they're balls means that you don't have a hard edge when you're doing stuff, so you can mask lines easier. But this was really cute. Let's see if you can see this. Our survey says, can you?
Our survey says no. Cannot see this.
You will. You will see this.
No, we won't.
Oh, I hate you so much. There you go.
We are seeing it.
So even though it's wood, it's like old wood, rough bark, and planks. Which
very
I thought
good
was,
for something we're going to be talking about later in the show.
Yes, which I thought was really cute. So just finding little people like that, who I've never heard of before, is absolutely fantastic. And then I got to talk to Ian Livingston and Luke Gygax.
You did? Right.
For an hour until I got roughly pushed off the stage and threatened.
We need one of them hooks.
One of those
on
hooks.
dick.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't have worked. I'll fight you.
Play him off, Davey.
What was the deal with the ice cream van that we got?
From Nick, Grey Primer.
Yeah.
So Warren has been banging on about his post-apocalypse ice cream van for a long time. The fact that it would be the ideal thing to survive the post-apocalypse in. I'm not entirely certain why, because it's got a fridge in the back, I think, and ice cream.
I think that's pretty much it, yeah.
So Nick actually bashed together one of these and themed it to OTT and Near an Errand. So there is a squirrel with a pint of Guinness. There is a Liverpool license plate on the back of it, which I appreciate because you'll never walk alone. 1892 is when it was founded. It was actually the birthday on Monday when we were passing through Liverpool as well.
Is this someone with an OTT shirt?
That is a little rag doll that's tied to the front.
But it looks like an OTT logo.
Yes.
I mean, what colour are you wearing right now, Lloyd?
Yeah.
I didn't realize we were coming down to the planet's surface. Gee whiz.
Yep. So he brought that along. Then we sat down and had a chat about some of the people he had seen, which was nice because obviously we're sort of gunning and running, going from booth to booth and having a chat and then moving on. So sometimes you see a great looking stand like the Vikings and you go, oh, I'm going to speak to them, and you might miss something equally good that maybe hasn't had a ton of stand work, whatever. So it was nice, Nick popping by and having a chat about what he'd seen and what he'd bought as well. He wouldn't leave any of it with me. Terrible. You're looking all distracted.
What was the crack with Hero Quest at the event this year?
The jungle is massive.
Yeah, so they had a new jungle expansion, which is their first unique expansion for Hero Quest. So all the stuff they've done previous to this, through Hasbro Pulse and stuff, Avalon Hill has all the stuff that Avalon Hill's been doing previously has been existing expansions from the last version of Hero Quest that has then been updated for the new game.
But was it there? Because it all looks all jungly, but everyone I seen playing just looked like they were playing on a regular Hero Quest.
They did have the miniatures there, but you couldn't buy it. A lot of people were just playing standard Hero Quest though, but you could see the little green figures in the background and things. So they did exist. So
I think I could be wrong, but I think that was a big reveal for them at UKG.
It was. Yes,
so
it was
so they announced it then that it was coming.
But do we have any pictures of them?
No,
because I got no pictures.
Because they were hidden by the people who were doing the demos, so I couldn't get close enough to get the pictures of them. So I didn't want to interrupt them either. So yeah.
You'll have Hero Quest players can be quite vicious when provoked.
They can. They have to roll to see how quickly they come after you. It's very tough for them.
Random. I hear random movement.
Tell you what, I'll put a link down below to the Hasbro Pulse pre-orders so you can go and see it for yourself. There we go.
But I wanted to see one of Jerry's action shots.
It's okay.
That's how you can tell they're coming after you.
And Andy did all the photography for Jerry this time around, though, so it's all good. So, yes, and I should say thank you very, very much to Andy and Rob for coming along and helping us once again. Did an absolutely amazing job there from the start all the way through to the bitter end, which was very cool. And you were very, very, very helpful.
This is my
sane.
This is my favorite screen capture from the entire weekend. When you see this,
I dread to think.
Oh.
Look at this lady here. Did you just drop a big fart beside her? Is that what happened? She's like, no.
No, I didn't. That's Rachel. She's really nice. She's also from Northern Ireland, which was unexpected.
Yeah, she'll appreciate this joke.
Yeah, I imagine so. So I started talking to her friend Becky. That was for a complete world for D&D, but they're going to migrate it across to Pathfinder. They've got a fantasy world, but it's Greco-Roman.
Ooh, 600 locations.
Yeah, so everything's there. Pantheon of gods, the world itself, new classes, new types of magic for Venestra, if memory serves.
Very nice.
Including, some of the new cross-class things that they've added. There's the equivalent of a Warcraft hunter, but they're griffin-based. So you go along and you take your little pet baby griffin with, get to leash it in there and stab people up. I imagine that's one there. But that sounds absolutely fascinating. I like the look and aesthetic of it as well. And they've got a really nice magic system called Embers, where you essentially become an avatar of a god over time. But as you gain more power, you essentially have to sell them more of your soul. And as they do so, these embers sort of get engraved onto your skin like fiery tattoos. So it's very difficult to walk into a town that is heavily focused on one god, and you're playing a paladin of another god that they hate. And you can't really go, I'm not that type of paladin, when you're absolutely covered in these burning wreathed ember tattoos going, this is my god and he hates you. Very difficult to go swimming.
I will say the role-playing game scene was strong this year. There was another one called Mappamundi, which is a combat-less RPG where it's set in a world, it's like a fantastical version of our world, almost. With sort of like lots of myths and legends that you'll know and love. But the whole idea is that you are playing as ecologists and botanists and things who are going out into the world to try and document these creatures. And so all of your conflicts are solved by trying to understand the creatures rather than just fighting them and taking their heads off and stuff. I think it's a really nice sort of twist on things. It's also very, very good for kind of slipping into different systems as well. So if you picked it up and you just loved the idea of it and the artwork, you could just slot that into your games of D&D. It does have its own specific system as well, but that one's really cool. Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, and we have a video of what Warcradle are up to as well. I can see it here in the blog, showing off Armored Clash.
Yes. Got to talk to Parker about where they're currently at with that. So coming up on the sort of the final tweaks and play arounds to... You're going to have to jump way on there because I started off talking to Catherine. You're on
Wayland stand at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Is this where I want to be? This is where
that's where you want to be. So Armored Clash is going to be their land-based game set in the dystopian age. So we had a bit of a chat about how the game currently plays, command and control and that sort of thing. They're still finalizing bits and pieces, so it may differ slightly from what we talked about when it finally hits. But essentially, you're going to have massive land-based
We've seen this
forces.
stuff at Salute, but we didn't see we've seen the large.
We've seen one, and I don't think it was painted because I think it was the first. The first resin casting.
This was the first.
We've made it.
Yeah.
We hadn't seen any of these at Salute, did we?
No.
So those are your big land. Well, I suppose the big one's a land ship. These are just little tonks. But like the Dystopian Wars cruisers. And things like that, which are multi-part plastic. These donks can also be messed around with, so you can have fun with magnets if you want to, depending on your point of view. So infantry, cav, tanks, artillery, all on the land, doing donuts around each other and shooting people in the face. I also quite like I was just going to say I also quite like the fact that it's set where infantry-based weapons work well against infantry. Tank-based weapons do not work well against infantry, unlike some other games where they go, you know what, if I fire a tank shell at that squad of infantry, then they're going to get absolutely plumed by it. That's not how that works. That's not how anything works. Good luck in hitting the tiny man. So yeah, they've sort of built in that combined arms feel to it as well. You may find that vehicles can do both, but have very different ranges and capabilities depending on what way they're actually built. which all makes perfect sense to me.
More about that coming out over the next month or so as well. We'll have lots of videos and articles and stuff. So
tons of stuff from UKGE there. If you feel the urge, if you've got some downtime, there's no football now for another 7 days and 1 hour until the Euros kick off. If you're watching, I say that if you're watching this right now as it goes live on Friday, you've got a week and an hour to kill until the Euros kick off.
Catch up on all of UKGE.
On UKGE.
Yes.
Tell me what my favorite bit of me was.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of me going on. Also, some Ben.
Yes, I was there.
Yeah.
Flipping off people and getting. Ben
got to talk more at the stage, though.
I did get to talk more at the stage. That was good fun.
Yeah.
Yes, I even hosted my own game show. Oh, it was glorious. So
Hues and clues.
Hues and cues. Yes.
Right. Shall we kick into the show proper then?
Yes.
With our Indie of the Week. And this week we're going to be taking a look at Stoessi's Heroes. Because they've been up to stuff while we've been away, and they've moved sites as well in some regards.
A little bit, yeah.
What do you mean moved sites? Physical sites or websites?
Possibly both, but definitely websites. We'll get to that in a moment. So this is the old site, which is hello, Stoessi's Heroes. These days, if you want to get their stuff, you have to go to the Tabletop
basement.
Tabletop basement site. Yes, that's if you're in the EU. If you're in the UK, go across to Stuart and Mark at Great Escape Games because they stock the stuff there. So
what? Where do you want me to click?
I don't want you to click anywhere. I'm just telling people.
Just stay here for now.
Great Escape Games is the stockist, but if you're in the EU, then go to Tabletop Basement, and this is where all their bits and pieces live these days. So as you can see, broken down by nations, they are a spanking gorgeous range of resin character figures for World War II. They almost lend themselves more to painting and dioramas, but they're great for picking up some unusual characters for your games of Five for Victory, for example.
Yeah, very true. They've all been nicely. I think they've all been nicely scaled quite well to a lot of stuff that you're probably picking up from the likes of like Artisan Design or Foundry or Warlord, for example. Yeah. So if you are looking for characters that match that style of miniature, they do have those. Yeah. Although in some cases they have gone slightly more true, I suppose you'd say.
Weirdly, I think if you look around, there's a prime example there, Mr. Hogan. The more caricatured, the more sort of fitting for bolt action style of figures tend to be the ones that have been plucked from TV and film. So very Hogan from Hogan's Heroes is a prime example. They've got some from The Longest. They've got quite a few from The Longest Day. Yes. But then when maybe they're leaning into more of the true proportion or true scale things, they tend to be the based on the historical figure that hasn't been portrayed in some sort of film. That looks like Audie Murphy. Is that Audie? I can't see.
No. Eddie Murphy was in Beverly Hills Cop.
Audie.
It's Tony. I believe Tony.
Oh, it's Tony. Okay. Because I know Audi at one point also pulled a 30 cal off the back of a vehicle and used it to repel oncomers.
This guy's got no shoes.
No, he doesn't. It was terrible fighting in the Pacific. I think one of the nice things about the range as a whole, and it's something you'll see in the descriptions of each of the different characters from Stoessi's, is that, as Jerry was saying, a lot of these characters have been plucked from real life, and a lot of them have stories that you've never probably heard of.
This is the job you want if you're going to war. Look how much weight he's managed to keep on.
Standing at the back with a map, doing anything he can.
But yeah, so each of the characters has their own little backstory to them, and they've got these really fascinating snippets of sort of history about like what they did, why they were famous, why you should go and learn more about them, why you should throw them into your games. And it doesn't just cover the allied stuff. Like there's characters from
what would you like to
the
visit
Axis
next?
side as well. Do you want to go into the German section? Let's go into the German section.
Go to the German, and see if Major Hans, Ulrich von Luch is there. I'd like to pick him. There he is he? That's so very small for me. My eyes don't work.
It's all very far away.
Very far away.
But I think this is what's quite nice about this is that they've not just explored the allied stories, but also the Axis ones as well. So you find out about the daring raids, the siege breakers, all that kind of stuff. And you're getting the whole picture of World War II.
Yeah.
Rather than it just being allied focus, which I think is really nice.
The whole picture. Did they do Escape to Victory as well then?
That is not
the best movie ever made.
No, it is not. I very, very dare you. There he is there.
Where? Which one?
No, I thought I'd said Von Luch. Honestly, your screen is so tiny. Your hovercraft is full of eels. And you jump around so much I can't see where you're at.
Why didn't you put your glasses on?
Because then I can't see.
It goes back and forth. But yeah, this was the kind of range that I dived into where I found out about the likes of like Mad Jack, Churchill, and stuff like that with the longbow kill and running up the beach with a broadsword and all sorts of different things like that. And like, I think there's one of the resistance partisan characters that they do. Nancy Wake, so she's the white mouse at the top there, Lloyd. She's like the Scarlet. Was it Scarlet? She's the Black Widow of World War II, basically. Black Widow mixed with Peggy Carter, let's say, but in real life, she underwent all sorts of like interrogations. She saved airmen from the clutches of the Nazis. She was the most wanted person, all that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't have known about her if it hadn't been for looking into the range and exploring what Stoessi's had to offer. And then you come up with really cool ideas for what you could do with her scenario-wise. So, I mean, there are resistance rules, obviously, in 5 Victory, or 0-200, of course, yeah. So if you wanted to throw them into those games, play something small scale and play around with that would be really nice. And yeah, so it's a really nice little kind of hobby jumping off point, I think, Stoessi's, for you to not only like add to an existing force, but get thinking scenario wise, gameplay wise as well.
I take it they're still expanding this bit out because they just have the 3 at the minute, by the looks of it. Is that right? So
Stoessi's were around for like a very long time. I mean, we talked about these guys back in, I think it was 2002, I think, maybe even a little earlier than that as an indie, but they kind of, obviously things happened, events in the world.
The event.
And Stoessi have only just come back towards the end of last year, beginning of this year, where they developed these deals with the likes of Tabletop Basement and Great Escape Games and stuff to sell their miniatures and things. But they are now working on bringing them back out and looking at more characters and stuff. So it is a range that is, fingers crossed, going to continue to expand. So
they have different options in it, but really the US seemed to be quite fleshed out. What was Britain like? Did we click Britain yet?
I have no idea what you've clicked on.
There you go.
The British and the Americans seem to be relatively fleshed out, and the Germans. Other than that, the others just have a few characters here or there.
Yeah, I think again, it's because a lot of the stories you hear are from the big major powers, and so that's where you're going to draw a lot of those narratives from. But hopefully, as they get deeper and deeper into this, they'll be able to get people on board who will tell maybe some of the stories of different characters from smaller nations that were fighting, and maybe give them some breathing space to tell their stories. So on the tabletop,
for fans of the SAS, there's a couple of great ones. Which, I mean, a few years ago, I'm sure there were quite a few people who wouldn't have known their names. But then there's been that TV show that the kids watch.
Yeah.
So
I still need to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah. But
is there season 2 out yet?
No, not yet. No. No.
Couldn't even tell you season 1 was out. John Howard. There's a really nice set, and again, these are, I'm pretty sure that's Sean Connery. There's a really nice set there of Frost and Carlisle from A Bridge Too Far, based on Tony Hopkins.
Is this on this page?
It
Yeah,
is.
right-hand-side
That's the
page.
ones. So anybody who's seen that,
Yes, they're exactly like them. Yeah.
Carlisle, not a real person,
Okay.
but he was there were a couple of different officers that they sort of merged together for the movie.
Right.
So one
Right.
did always carry an umbrella. And the other one was Frost's, I think, adjutant.
Brilliant.
But yeah, really, really gorgeous sculpts.
They really are. Yeah.
Devil's Brigade.
I wonder who they could
filth.
be.
Yeah. Could be anybody at all. You just don't know.
Mm. I quite like the idea of using some of those to represent maybe characters in slightly more pulpy settings as well. So use them for Project Reza, Escape from Stalingrad Z, that kind of stuff. Throw them into those kind of games. Conflict 47, of course, which is getting a resurgence later this year. Maybe throw especially some of the Hollywood style characters in there.
Yeah.
That could be really
There's
fun.
a load of stuff. And if people want to have John Wayne on a cart, then
Mhm.
you too can have John Wayne on a
You
cart.
can.
And isn't that the most important thing of all?
Yeah.
Watching him being wheeled around.
We've got a couple of specific links. Here's one to Mad Jack.
Yeah, so this was one I was mentioning earlier. He's the guy who decided that no soldier should be going into war without a sword by his side, and was the and bagpipes,
And
and
bagpipes.
was the last recorded kill in battle with a longbow, apparently as well.
This is a ridiculous.
I believe
thing.
I believe he's also the guy who there was a wonderful story. He was on a train after the war. He on the train. He would go home from work, and he'd always open the window and he'd throw his briefcase out of the window halfway there. And this guy would watch him do it constantly every day. And then eventually he was plucked up the courage to ask him why he was doing it. And it was like, oh, so I don't have to carry my briefcase. I just throw it into my garden. And then he picked it up later. So
Genius.
There we go. Yeah.
I might be wrong, but I think he was a POW. He was caught, and because his surname was Churchill, they thought he may have been related to Winston, and therefore he got bumped up and put into like nice officers' quarters instead of being in with the Dungers. So, it's not who you are, it's who you know.
Exactly.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
And we've got Rudolph linked to specifically as well.
Yeah, not with the red nose though.
No.
But so this was the guy who captured Eben Emal, the Belgian fortress. So yeah, and this is obviously from the Axis side of things. But again, it's fascinating looking at what he was able to achieve and what he did and why he was rewarded for certain actions and stuff like that. And then again, it makes you think about scenarios that you could play with him. So maybe you do play out that capture of the fortress and stuff, which I think is quite nice. So,
He looks like he's wearing diapers,
He's wearing a Fallschirmjäger jumpsuit.
Yeah.
which look like diapers.
Could be. But when you're barreling towards the ground, you want to make sure you're as insulated as possible.
That's
down
true.
there in the nethers.
Yeah.
Can't bring you anywhere.
But yeah,
Absolutely
very cool
shocking.
characters.
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah, fun. They're a fascinating selection
Mhm.
from the real world stories of them, and then the archetypical characters from TV and movie.
Mhm.
So having people like Coffee Pot there on his horse is great. The first German soldier to see the Allied powers in the Longest Day film, and that's a really nice because
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's credited.
Which one's
in
coffee? I got him. I found him.
in the actual film. He may even be credited as Coffee Pot, but people have referred to him as that because he's dandering back on his horse when he sees them coming snowing in there. So having Hogan's heroes, having the characters from the movies, which a lot of us grew up with, they're absolutely stonking. is really nice. But then also, like you say, finding the interesting and niche stories of some of the combatants and ones that you don't hear about so much. I don't know if Von Luck is on that German page. I know he's in the old Stoessi's site, so
He is, yeah.
maybe he's not come across yet. He is one of the most fascinating German tank commanders, and nobody ever really talks about him. They keep going on about Carius, who's great, obviously. Wittmann, who was a plum. But that's true. Rommel obviously gets all the plaudits. But Von Luck served from the start of the war. He was in the invasion of Poland, France, Eastern Front. He was at Smolensk during the winter counteroffensive. He was then pulled to North Africa to lead the recon team for Rommel. He was there all the way back to Tripoli when he was pulled back to Germany, and then he was reassigned to the Panzerlehr. Should have been their commander, and then somebody in high command decided, you're not famous and nice enough, and people back home don't like you. We're going to make you second in command of, I was going to swear there, to a gentleman who was not up to the task. And so when D-Day happened, he was sitting there going, are we not going to defend ourselves? No? And the officer's going, no, we've been told to stay here. Eventually he just took matters into his own hands and went and persuaded some tanks to get into the fight via the medium of his Luger. And then he commandeered a Panzer IV of his own and went off. Wow. He survived the war. He only died 10 years ago in 1996, 97, something like that, because the 90s were all 10 years ago. We know this. But after the war, subsequent to the war, when he was repatriated back to Germany after being in a gulag somewhere, he ended up doing stuff with the British military. So he would be, he came across and would give speeches at officer training, tours and war museum type stuff as well. Became friends with people who he'd fought against on the Allied side. Fascinating character, really interesting. Every theater bar the Pacific he was in, and yet
that's crazy.
Nobody really knows him. They all talk about, well, I suppose probably because he was bucking around the place in a Panzer IV, not spinning around in a Tiger. If you've been in a Tiger, everybody would just know his name. I think that's how that one goes. Yeah, Tigers flash. There they are. Anyway, so yes, really it's worth having a look at the range for, like you say, characters to lead your forces, or maybe just painting projects. Some of those would be perfect for little modeling dioramas, especially Frost and Carlisle. Oh, we can't possibly accept your surrender. We don't have enough room.
So, to remind people where they go to buy these things, then
in the EU, tabletop basement, and in the UK, check out Great Escape Games.
So there's no point going to Ceresi's Hero's own website anymore?
No, it's just an archive now, I believe.
Although they do have blog posts there where they show off images of the characters from the movies and photography from World War II. So if you want to see what they're based on and see where they've taken their references from, you can find it as part of that blog over there.
Oh yeah, it's still a great archive. Hopefully it'll stay up for a good long time as well.
Fingers crossed.
Right. Shall we move on and take a look at some news?
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right. Big news. Huge news that came out when I was in the bar at UKGE.
Sky Bar.
That Sky Bar.
What happens in the Sky Bar stays in the Sky Bar, I think.
It's only right and proper. But Steamforged Games, they teased us. They went, we've got big news coming tomorrow. And we all waited. And Lord, did they not disappoint. Because we didn't see any of that coming, Ben, did we?
No. So Steamforged Games, we kind of assumed they were going to be picking up maybe a new video game IP or something like that. But they have picked up a IP, and possibly one of the biggest ones, especially in the wargaming world. They have now acquired Warmachine. So Privateer Press's Warmachine, Iron Kingdoms, and any associated board card or role-playing games that are tied into the Iron Kingdoms and Immoren have been snapped up by Steamforged Games, and they will be producing the game.
Isn't that weird looking at
rules.
that? Looking at that image with the Steamforged Games.
It is
logo on it.
so odd. After years and years of it being Privateer Press, it's wild. But that's pretty much the news at the moment. They are now the new custodians. They're going to be taking the game forward. They're going to be continuing to develop it. Privateer Press will have a little bit of input in terms of the design process for the rules and stuff like that. I would assume
this is everything here then.
That's everything they've now got. Yeah. I would assume that a lot of their sculptors and stuff like that will continue to be involved in the process and help bring the different miniatures and stuff to life. As I say, production is going to be handled by Steamforged now, so there's no concrete evidence of exactly where that's going to go, apart from the fact that they said that Privateer Press will honour orders up until this point, and then Steamforged will take over and look after everything from there. So I guess on the 3D printing side of things, they're going to be working to bring a lot of those miniatures out over here in Europe and then working over in the US as well. Does this mean we're potentially going to be seeing them change things up a little bit? I would assume so. They are masters now of dealing with big plastic stuff, as we've seen with the Epic Encounters range. So maybe we'll see them looking at doing plastics once again for Warmachine in the near future. That could be a fun new avenue for them to go down, and of course make the entry point a lot cheaper for people who are wanting to try out the game.
Warmachine became too complicated to recommend to people, not from a rules point of view, but for just getting a Vinny's point of view.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
it's weird because we all know that back in the day, Warmachine was being talked about in the same breath as Warhammer 40k.
Oh yeah, it was its main competitor, and
now to see it,
so yeah,
passing hands, it's just like, how the heck did that happen?
Where did this come from? What's going on? Cats and dogs living in harmony. Mass hysteria. There were two things that shocked me. One, obviously, the fact that it shuffled across. I wasn't expecting. And two, the sheer amount of IPs tied to the Iron Kingdom / Warmachine. Because I was aware of the RPG. I was aware of Warmachine and Hordes, of the Riot Quest board game. And then after that, see pretty much everything on the bottom row there. Never heard of them.
You never heard of Undercity? I have a Let's Play, a very rare Let's Play of me playing the Undercity.
Yeah.
Wow. That must have been a while ago then.
Here's the ones that I would get rid of, though, if I was them. I wouldn't bother with Riot Quest.
Oh, no, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
Riot Quest is an amazing game. See if Riot Quest is not the first big thing Steamforged do. I would be shocked because it's a tight board game.
It's right up their alley.
Really nice figures.
It's
nailed on. It is 100% because it gives you everything that Warmachine and Hordes has, but in single little easily accessible packs.
Well, so I suppose that's a point. Easy.
You don't have to piss around with, putting together full armies and stuff. You just go, well, here it is.
I'd get rid of Undercity.
Yeah.
It was too much hard work to make it fun. That, never heard of it. Get rid of it. This, get rid of it. High Command, get rid of it. Grind, get rid of it. This, get rid of it. That, get rid of it. Yep. Keep that.
Hordes is still part of Warmachine now, so
keep that. Keep maybe that. Definitely.
Warcaster's so shiny and new. And nobody's seen it. Not in the wild.
The thing I absolutely definitely want them to keep is the P3 paints. I thought they were great.
I've got about a dozen in my drawer here.
I think they're going to be doing
Troll Blood and Coal Black is great.
I think they're going to be doing a lot more development of that range and really pushing it, I think. Because if they worked on that, they could fold that in very, very nicely with what they already do for their board games and their Epic Encounter stuff and make it like a big deal, a bit like Army Painter do with other companies. So
true.
Yeah.
Now I've peed everybody off by saying get rid of their favourite bits.
That's fine. We're all fine here.
Are they going to roll this in with Guild Ball? Is Guild Ball in this universe going to combine?
Guild Ball was essentially a fan spin-off from within the Iron Kingdoms. They were big Warmachine players and fans of the setting and went, I imagine this is what they do on their downtime. This is what the regular folks go and watch when things are happening. So it wasn't technically part of Privateer Press's world, but thematically and as far as the designers were concerned, it was.
Yeah, a lot of DNA mechanically and sort of thematically carries through into a lot of what Steamforged have done since their development and their growth.
Yeah. So I suppose it means that they, obviously Guild Ball is on a sort of semi-hiatus. They're not producing anything new, but you can get the old stuff by the medium of STLs and the like. So, but it means they could potentially rebrand it full on for being part of the Iron Kingdoms. Well, we always kind of knew it was with a nudge and a wink. Now it's official because we put a big logo on it. It's the noise of a big logo being put onto it.
I suspect if they did do that, it wouldn't be for quite a few years because they'll be looking at this going, right, we need to get up to speed with all this.
They got to get Warmachine out. And they got to get Warmachine fired up. I mean, people are, from what I've heard, people are really quite enjoying the new edition. It's just quite hard to get into it.
Yes.
As to get the minis.
Yeah. So hopefully, I mean, what we saw there in that preview images, that was new stuff. So they've clearly been working on things behind the scenes. It'd be nice to see where they go with it. I should point out for anyone who's, I mean, they're new characters we've not seen. So it'll be fun to see what they do with them going forward. For anyone who's thinking about other Privateer Press stuff, so Monster Apocalypse and Level 7, so like Level 7 Omega, remember that board game and stuff? Monster Apocalypse is still in what I'm going to affectionately call development hell because of the Kickstarter. But there is news going to be coming out about that in the future, so watch out for that. It is still owned by Privateer Press, and the same with Level 7, which I will assume they'll either do something with or they'll just sort of let it drift off, maybe, I would imagine. Turn off the machine.
Pillow over its face. Say goodnight. Bye, Level 7.
Hopefully this, in an ideal world, hopefully this means that the actual creative people from Privateer Press just get to be creative and just have an input potentially in the process going forward for Steamforged, and what they do want to do with Warmachine.
Why would they have any input?
Because they're still being consulted on the design process.
This is why they refer to it as a partnership rather than just a straight out IP buyout.
Yeah. So they are still working within the realm. But yeah, I suppose we'll see what happens in the near future.
Yes. Fascinating. Speaking of near future.
Yes.
Mantic, both the near future and also the far future. Have made some interesting announcements for Firefight, which is their 28mm platoon level game I'm going to throw out there. It's not massive, like tons of tanks and stuff on the board. You're playing with small selection of figures and some vehicles and the like. And about a week ago, they put up MasonLabs.com, where you could take a tour through the Mason Labs website, check the share prices, sign up for exciting job prospects out on the fringes of the global co-prosperity sphere, and then get random emails through from hackers telling you to follow the white rabbit. So for the course of a weekend, there were some interesting little challenges, codes to bust, Warren, and then little hints and tips of things coming through, and sort of fluff backstory, telling you that the Mason Labs design team had been working on a new warp propulsion drive, instantaneous travel via wormholes. Shelve the old McKinley drive. Nobody needs that anymore. Nobody needs to have to still spend time traveling when instantaneous travel is possible.
Yeah.
And that will never go badly wrong.
No.
It did go badly wrong, however. And the Nightstalkers from Kings of War, who are interdimensional nightmares, have been invited into the Warpath universe by the medium of Mason Labs. Thank you, Mason, you absolute scumbags. So this is a upcoming army for Firefight. It'll be launching fairly shortly. The beta list has just gone up onto the Mantic companion app. So it's it's a blend of the fantasy figures with some new upgraded bits. So, for example, the butcher / ravagers there have got additional parts like that massive meat tenderizer. It may be coming into my Kings of War army as a butcher flesh ripper, although it's not big enough, but hey ho.
What material are these?
So those are hard plastic. The butcher ravagers are hard plastic with some resin upgrade components. That there, I'm assuming is a full-on resin model.
A dread ravager. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone very wrong indeed. And you can see the ones that are solely firefight in that they've started to incorporate some biomechanical pieces into them. The Luctus Void Rays are completely exciting and new. They are, for all intents and purposes, a cavalry style, so sort of the jetbike equivalent for the Nightstalkers.
Right.
Flying through the void as they are and out into the wonderful world of, I think they're on Pluton 3.
It's got a big long
where the
neck.
lab went. Yeah, that's all the better for. Once it gets inside your stomach, it wants to get up into the chest cavity. And it doesn't have to go through the bones then. That's why its neck is so long. Got to push your way in to find the succulent tender meats.
Yeah.
And that thing, this is one of my favorites.
It's so eerie and weird.
That is not just
it's got a nose.
It does have a nose because that's not just a flying ship. That's also a troop transport. If, for want of a better word, it can bring things with, whether they're hanging off its underbelly or whether it discharges them through some sort of opening. We can't be entirely certain, and I'm not checking.
What does it do? Does it sniff you out? Does it fly around sniffing for people?
It could do.
It's so weird.
It is essentially a troop transport. So, you know, the choice is yours as to what way you think that's actually moving around the board and doing things. But the Nilitus Void Ray has a ridiculous weapon. I'm going to throw that out for a start. Got 6 dice, Shadow Bolt Array, and it can blaze away as well. So suppress people, fly in, and then drop 6 things.
I don't know.
Your head.
I don't know what a Shadow Bolt Array is, but I do know what 6 dice are, and that sounds brutal.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting for people who can also attack in close combat, which a lot of transport vehicles cannot, because they're vehicles. See, if you're going to bring a vehicle to a battlefield, make sure it's actually a living nightmare monster.
Yeah.
And then it could just drop off a whole host of whatever you want to drop off on them. I would suggest something like
These
Reapers
nasties.
and Ravagers. Scarecrows, everybody's favorite. And again, the hard plastics, but what looks like possibly a selection of resin upgrades, because that big, massive mouth cannon in the fella's chest there, that's not part of that sprue. That's exciting and different. So it means they're going to be launching with Ravagers, Void Touch Mutants, Reapers, and Scarecrows, 3 of which are dual kits. So actually, all 4 of which are dual kits.
Can you buy these Reapers on their own?
Yeah. Just get the Reaper/Tormentor box.
What size base are they on, do you think?
Well, I can tell you exactly what they're on. They're on 40s. So I've got the beta list open here beside me.
These may have been interest to me on our
There's
show
an unboxing
on Sunday.
If you look at my unboxing for the Nightstalkers Ambush set, I put them together in both flavors. They are absolutely wicked. I love them to bits.
Spiky indeed.
So many of them.
Yeah.
So very
What do you
many
mean,
of
both
them.
flavors?
There's 2 different. The boxes are dual kit, so it can make those, or it makes slightly less terrifying ones without the double hinged jaw.
Like
Game wise, they're similar but different. So you see the way you've got a head with a big long tongue and no eyes, and then you've got the ones that their head is splitting open, like Luke Goss from Blade 3, probably Blade 2. I can't remember which one Bros Boy was in. Anyway, they're 2 different troop types. I don't know how they work. I do know how they work because I've got the beta list. How do they work in this? Do they split them? Reapers are there. Do they have tormentors? No, they don't. So it's just one standard list. But I think you can upgrade them to be tormentors. Yeah, so you can mix and match.
Oh, there
And you
you
can
go.
mix and match in any number. So run full units or not, depending how you're feeling. Really
This thing
excited about
here's
this.
amazing
The
looking.
Terror, I think.
The Terror, yeah. He's a nice bit of kit. I don't own
It's a
one of those
resin
yet.
jobby too.
No. Yes.
Maybe.
They are. Oh, can I reach him?
I'm just wondering, is any of this
Oh,
come in that weird plasticky game plastic
Yes.
stuff? Restic.
So him is the same as this,
Yeah.
which is the same back body is resticky plastic, and then the front head bits are resin. You're not going to focus, are you?
Nah.
With the dust on that. Someday he'll get cleaned and painted. So yeah, the back body of it is, but the front head with all the weird stuff is all resin, so high detailed. He is the only one who contains any plastic parts, which is just the body and some of the tentacles. The front tentacles and all the head is
Very nice.
is all resin.
Heads.
I really should pick one up. No, it's just one head.
Look at all those heads. There's a whole bunch of heads.
No, they're not heads. They're just trap souls.
What about these
don't-
mouths then?
They're just extra vicious biting mouths. The trick is to find the real head, kill it, shoot it in the vulnerables, put an arrow through it.
This army seems like a great candidate for Yoo-hoo glue.
Yes, yes, it is, isn't it? Everything should be covered in blood or drool.
Lots of slavering Moors.
Yeah,
Very nice indeed.
yeah. So interesting to see that they're bringing through their own void-touched lunacy into the Warpath universe. We knew it was coming. They'd had rumored it last year, and then Ronnie just went at Christmas. Yeah, no, Nightstalkers are coming. You go, okay, thanks, Ronnie. They are tying it with that Maison Labs sort of fluff piece to the fall of Pluton 3.
Good old Ronnie, the leaky bucket.
So that's why he's not around anywhere. To make sure he didn't leak anything over things like UKGE, one of his staff stole his car at Salute, so he's been away for like a month trying to find his car. I'm assuming it was one of his staff. They just couldn't. And Matt probably went, I need to shut Ronnie up, and the only way I can do this is to
I'm
cause him
surprised he
tremendous loss and pain.
finds time to leak anything when I'm flying around to football matches all over the world.
Well, why not? It's he may as well do it now before all their titles get stripped. 115 FC, you cheating sons of bitches. But yeah, there will be a global campaign around the Nightstalker incursion on Pluton 3 and their ingress into the universe, which I'm looking forward to. Like previous Mantic campaigns, it'll push the storyline along because it's not static. Every year is 10 years in timeline wise.
Right.
I think is how Ronnie and Matt are pushing it.
Like
Sometimes
dogs.
they might make a big skip forward, but generally they want the times in their universes to progress, not be static.
I
So
see.
things change. Most interesting part of all of this for me was right at the very end of a little sort of teasery bit. They went, somebody, and the hacker in the Maison Labs website is somebody of a rebellious nature.
Ooh.
Now, for long-term players of Dead Zone, the rebels, the
Rebs.
conglomeration of people who really hate the GCPS, essentially your Firefight browncoats, the people living on the edge of space who go, I don't want to be paying taxes to these guys 3 spheres away, and I don't want to be living under their oppressive regime. They've been noticeably absent for the past few years. They were all restic, but it seems like the rebels may be coming back.
That would be
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love
Yeah.
those models. They're really cool.
So,
Really nice mix of humans and aliens and all sorts of things.
yeah, that's it. It's a great blend of all the things that are kicking around. So time will tell. We'll see what happens after Maison have completely screwed the pooch and everybody else in the universe via the medium of Nightstalkers, because they care, because they can. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of it. I might paint up some Nightstalkers.
Yeah,
do that. I won't do any of this.
Too much other stuff to paint right now. So.
Too much other stuff to paint.
Yeah.
What I might do is get my Forge Fathers ready.
Ooh.
For Pluton. They won't like that up them. Especially now they're super filth. Really good upgrade. Anyway, hashtag Dead Zone is life. Right. Taking a dip into the oceans then, Ben.
Yeah, so AntiMatter Games, producers of both Shadowsea and DeepWars, are going to be coming back to Kickstarter very, very soon with a new physical version of their DeepWars starter set. So they have previously been on crowdfunding to bring a digital version of this to the tabletop. So you could grab it and get digital miniatures, all the rules, all the tokens, all the templates, etc., or everything you needed to start playing DeepWars on the tabletop. But there was obviously a little bit of cry in the interweb sphere for them to do a physical version of this for people who don't have access to 3D printers. And so that's what they're going to be doing. So they're going to be coming back to Kickstarter very soon with Kraken Reef, which will contain miniatures for both the Ancients of Atalan and the Dark Mariners, who are going to be doing battle once more across various mats, as you can see there. It's been designed so it's a 2-player set, effectively, so you both get you get both sides, of course. Although you will also then have the wandering monsters of the ocean, so those sharks that you can see there that will be going around trying to nip at your heels in your diving suit. It'll all play out over the course of an 8 scenario linked campaign, so it's a little bit more narrative than it just being a sort of standard war game. But this also obviously just gives you a great bearing for diving deeper into more from DeepWars in the near future. DeepWars is one of those games, a little bit like Bushido and stuff like that, which has kind of always been on the fringes, and people really love it, and they really like painting the miniatures, and they absolutely adore it and have massive collections, but I don't think enough people really know about it.
Yeah, it keeps dropping onto the sonar.
Yeah, very true.
Because it keeps popping up every time we go to conventions and stuff. You
does.
see more from DeepWars, you're like, oh yeah, DeepWars, I remember that now.
AntiMatter, oh, that's cool.
And every time you see it, it's even more cool than the last time. You're like,
yeah,
when did they do this?
Because look how good those miniatures are. They're so nice. But all of it's going to be done in printed resin. So it's all going to be 32mm miniatures in printed resin. And you'll get all the physical components. So you get all the miniatures, you get all the tokens, you get the boards, etc. Everything you need to start playing. Hopefully, this will then spur people to sort of dive deeper into the game and start developing it a little bit more, build up their collections, go and pick up more miniatures from AntiMatter. And genuinely just have some fun with DeepWars. We had, I think, a couple of Let's Plays a very long time ago, which was showing off a little bit more about the game over on, I think it was when some folks were over in at Adepticon looking at the game. So it would have been Dawn and Bill. Go and have a look at that, which would be quite nice. But yes, you can find them somewhere on our site, somewhere, I think. But yeah, it always looked really fun because it was like a really awesome underwater adventure skirmish game that had wandering monsters in it and everything as well. So it was
it's the sort of game I want to use a projector for, so you can put on like the CMAT and then project caustic.
And you could have the
caustic reflections.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
all over it.
Yeah,
Caustics.
But when you're looking for this, make sure you type in AntiMatter -games, because otherwise you'll find a video game studio that is now defunct. But make sure to come and take a look at it, as you can see there, and dive into the rest of their range and see what they have to offer, because it is a very cool concept with some lovely miniatures.
Yeah, just stick on Elite Level 70 Taurian Chieftain with I Am Murloc on repeat. Play your games while making Murloc noises.
Oh, oh dear.
Right. Joe McCullough has decided to write another game.
He has.
It's been about 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Joe McCullough, who is obviously responsible for the likes of Frostgrave, Stargrave, Oathmark, Rangers Shadow Deep, has come back and released his newest game, which is called Deathship 1. So it's available right now through Drive-Thru RPG. And the idea of the game is that it's set on a death ship, which is a dark, foreboding spaceship in the depths of space. And soldiers from all across time and space and various realities have been brought to the ship in order to see whether or not they can survive. Now,
against what? Each other?
against the monsters that dwell within it.
So it's a bit Predator-like then?
Kind of, yes. So nobody knows exactly who has brought them to the ship or why. And in fact, that's some of the joy. But you could bring your Napoleonic soldiers. You could have Sharp going up against these things. You could bring your Galactic Marines. You could delve into the extensive collection from the likes of Crooked Dice and bring all your favorite pulp heroes to the tabletop to start fighting all these gribbly monsters. Or you could just bring Samurai if you wanted, which
makes sense.
Which is awesome. And the whole idea of the game is that it's very quick and easy to pick up and play. You simply have, and I say simply, you simply have to get through 5 rooms and then get out the other end, and then you win. But that is obviously easier.
When are we going to see more of it? Like, is there going to be more creatures than this? Obviously.
So the whole idea is that you don't actually have to. There is never going to be like an actual official miniatures range for this. These were sculpted by Bobby Jackson just to kind of add a little bit of flavor in there, to help build up some of the monsters that you'll be facing based on the artwork that's included in the book. But they're available as STLs from Bobby Jackson, or you can buy them physically through North Star. Then, because the whole idea is that you
what are they coming as? Are they like a 3D printed from North
Star? It'll be like
a
printed version of them, physically. But because all the miniatures because the miniatures can be drawn from anything in your collection, the whole idea is that it's really stress-free. You just grab what you've got in your collection and just start playing the game. It's meant to be designed so that it's very light on terrain and all that kind of stuff as well. So you just set up, dive in, and just start playing. I think there was a little bit of this in a previous Blaster mag, I think, but it's now obviously been released fully through DriveThruRPG. So if you are interested, you can dive in and try out Joe's new game. I'm sure it's good. He's just is an insanely talented man.
That he is. That he be.
I already know that Peachy, who a lot of people know from the sort of wargaming community, is a big fan of Sharp and quite likes a lot of Joe's games, has already said, "Oh my god, a reason I could use Napoleonics and terrifying space creatures? Why would I not get involved?" It sounds just like a really bad BBC series from the 80s or the early 90s.
Harsh. Sounds like that episode of Babylon 5 where Sheridan was kidnapped by, I think, the Drac and put onto a ship with some other random alien to fight some creatures they had.
Bring that to life.
Doesn't it sound like every flipping episode that had a holodeck in Star Trek?
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't think anybody ever really watched Star Trek. Certainly not when they had holodecks. The original series didn't have holodecks. It was much better for it.
Yeah, when they wanted to do a weird planet thing, they just went to a weird planet.
There, California, as it's known. Right, we're going to stick with something McCullough adjacent next.
Even more news, bitches.
So another of Joe McCullough's games then is obviously Frostgrave, his spectacularly popular fantasy game, kicking around Felstadt.
Never heard of it.
Playing in the snow, making snow angels, snowmen, snowballs.
There's no trains involved, so Lloyd doesn't care.
Yeah, this is pretty much key for everything in life, really. But the guys at North Star have revisited the Frostgrave miniature range and are now releasing a new cultist box. So, like previous iterations of the soldiers and wizards, there is now a female set of cultists, because every cult should be an equal opportunities employer.
Yes.
I would have said most cults have more females than males.
Could be.
That's generally the way they go.
I don't check under the robes, so I'm not telling you either way. But it's nice that they're going back now and fleshing out the Frostgrave range a bit further.
Yeah.
I think this had always been the intention. I think it had been talked about a while ago that it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
We hadn't really expected to see anything anytime soon because there's no linked game to it. There's no specifically cult expansion or anything like that's come out. It's just something that
somewhat came out of the blue.
Yeah, they were just kind of working in the background and went, you know what we need? We need some more cultists to run around the place and set fire to things. But I think it really shows the popularity of Frostgrave that even years down the line, when there's not a big release tied to it, that they can, go back and revisit it. And The
But
quality
is
of the
it
plastics is great.
is it the popularity of the game, or is it the popularity of the plastics? Because plastics
Game.
just work so well for
Well-
other systems. Like these miniatures from Frostgrave make such nice warbands for all sorts of games.
They are
That's
good
that's
fodder.
part and parcel of it as well. The fact that you can mix and match all the pieces on the sprue with any of the other Frostgrave plastics, and to be fair, Oathmark plastics as well,
And
are
Stargrave.
also are also all keyed together. Oh yeah, they make great Ravager bodies for Stargrave, in case you need to be out amongst the stars, setting fire to people with lasers instead of setting fire to people with fire. That's how you can tell the difference in cultists. But as you can see, the sprues are absolutely jam-packed with everything you need if you want to run a ranged warband or get up close and personal, give somebody a bit of a bopping upside the head with a massive cleavy axe, or stab them from a distance with any sort of long-range pokey device.
The usual Renedra quality too, probably.
Yeah. I think these are great. If you are going to tie it to something, maybe, I guess these would be good if you just picked up mortal enemies and you want to make like a properly villainous warband for you to go up against. Obviously, this would be great for developing more cultists to sit alongside some dastardly necromancer or something like that, or demonologist in your games.
I do like the flappy bunny ears / antlers on that cultist. The one thing that possibly, because I haven't had a massively close look at the sprue, is the original cultist box had a lot of very pointy hats.
It does.
They were pointy hat heavy. Now, presumably, if you have that, then you have spares anyway.
So you just slot them in here.
So
as well
you can throw them on top. But if you don't have that, I'm a little disappointed that we don't have some pointy hats there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So there's plenty of other various sacks, animal heads, and just leper-bound, rag-faced things to do the job. I mean,
There's
if you're
some
playing
serious morning hair here, look at this.
if you're playing Necromunda, the original proper one, and you want to run a Scavvy gang, then this
would be pretty good for
with the Stargrave box set to get your sci-fi weaponry, and you're good to go. You just need a couple of big monsters for scalies, and bam, sorted. Respect due.
Very nice.
Yes, I thought so. Right, leaving the world of Frostgrave behind and checking out Marvel Crisis Protocol, full of villains as well, though, Ben.
Yeah, so this is another one of the revamped sets, I suppose, from Atomic Mass Games for Marvel Crisis Protocol. So all these characters have existed in some way before, but they are now kind of. And now they're being reinvented for a new box set. So this is another Asgardian characters set for you to use in your games. Comes with Mighty Thor, alongside Thor Odinson himself, Lady Sif, and Loki. And the idea is that this
Lady
is
Sif.
not the toilet cleaner. And so this has been designed as a Asgardian affiliation pack. So if you wanted to run them all together, you could do. It would be a pretty Boku set if you did. 2 times the Mjolnir. But if you were looking to maybe go down a sort of like narrative, scenario-based route, you could obviously have Mighty Thor, and Sif going up against Loki on the tabletop in some kind of fun scenario or other. I think this is a great little set. I think it really shows off the development of the sculpting from Atomic Mass since that initial launch. Obviously, they redid the core set, and they've been slowly going back through and sort of updating and tweaking sculpts as well from back then. So this is them sort of revisiting those characters. I can't wait to see what they do when they potentially revisit some of the X-Men stuff, maybe. Looking for alternative costumes, potentially based on X-Men 97, maybe, possibly. Who knows? But yeah, as well as the Asgardian set, you also get some terrain as well. So you can pick up the Battle for Asgard and the Asgardian Shrine Collection, which gives you thematic terrain, but also comes with specific rules for using them in your games. So if you actually want to play a proper narrative scenario, some of the terrain, like the node in the middle there, and things like that, will have specific rules so that you can theme your battlefields, which I think is quite nice. I think it would be really fun to kind of just try and develop a scenario out of this box. So you have Mighty Thor and Sif battling against Loki just by himself, running around like an Asgardian city or something. And every time you defeat Loki in kind of like a Doctor Doom kind of thing, is it just an illusion of him or something like that? Is he somewhere else dealing with another objective? So you've got this really fun kind of like asymmetry there. And it means that Loki's not completely outmatched against all of them, because he might get taken out somewhere, but he appears somewhere else as a different illusion, and he starts fiddling with things. I think you can have a really nice
even just having a couple of tokens on the board.
Yes,
so you've got Loki and 2 or 3 tokens and like blip counters that he can ping between. So you can't leave one objective alone because the token that's moving towards that might actually be the real Loki. You just don't know.
I think that'd be super cool.
That would be a lot of fun.
Do that.
I like the new Thor and Lady Thor character models.
Jane.
All you can hear is the immigrant song playing in the background.
Yes. Oh. The poses are
cracking.
Amazing. I particularly like Jane Foster, Mighty Thor's version. I think that is properly set up for like a diorama vignette kind of thing. And Thor's face, he's just so pissed off.
Yeah, he's always pissed off.
As he flies forward.
They're just missing Bill. You just add in Beta Ray, and then you could have 3 Meow Meows.
Yeah, you could.
Instead of just the one. Missing a trick there. It's a shame that Sif, Power of the Warriors 3, is currently the Warrior 1.
Warrior 1, yeah. Need the rest of the Warriors.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Definitely. Ray Stevenson, they, nodding a wink to him. Give him a model.
Definitely.
Come on, Atomic Mass. Don't make me come over there.
Yeah.
I will cause you no end of problems.
They do tend to end up doing some quirky sort of side sets and things like that, so maybe we'll see the rest of the Warriors 3 in the near future.
Who knows? Who knows where they're
going from strength to strength when it comes to Marvel Crisis Protocol. These are available for pre-order now, should be available in August. So not
sweet, like so much candy is sweet. Now, a little bit of news about an upcoming Keep Your Eyes Peeled for Kickstarter from Jonathan Blanche. Any relation to Blanche Devereaux? Golden Girls.
That little known artist, yeah. So John Blanche, now freed from the shackles of Games Workshop, is looking to bring more of his artwork and concepts to life, and so has teamed up with sculptor James Sheriff of Brass Monkey to bring the Morderin miniatures to Kickstarter very, very soon. So these are all going to be a range of 32mm miniatures based on the pulpy, grimdarky, sci-fantasy art of Blanche. And here's illustrations. So we saw a little sneaky peek of this, and Jaggerin, that character there, I think it was last year sometime, when I think John had just left or was about to leave, and he was working with Brass Monkey James on some of the pieces and sort of working out how they were going to sculpt them and bring them to life. And they were asking for feedback from people as well, because obviously they tried to make them gameable, which obviously means that you have to, change a couple of different things when it comes to the artwork and the miniatures, which I still think that these look absolutely fantastic. And now at least 4 characters are going to come to Kickstarter very soon. So you've got Jaggerin, Apollonia, Osterhilt, who I think is possibly my favorite. I love that kind of cybernetic hair to her. I think it's super cool.
Cyber dreadlocks.
Cyber dreadlocks. And Salomia as well as the final character from the set. They are going to be primarily focusing on developing the miniatures and offering them as part of the Kickstarter. But if there's enough sort of discussion and want for it, they also want to do prints alongside it, so you can have your miniature alongside the print by Blanche, so you have that in your collection. They also obviously there was the note on the proportions and things for some of the characters. They're slightly more heroic, I guess you'd say, compared to the artwork that Blanche has done, but that's because of the process of bringing them to life as miniatures on the tabletop in 32mm.
Shrink.
They did say if John is up for 54mm miniatures being done as well, they could do them in the proper proportions, artistic style. So we shall see on that front. But as you can see, test prints looking very nice so far. Going to be great for all of those Planet 28 mag games that exists out there in the universe, designed by individuals and smaller companies. So if you're looking for some characters to fit that vibe, for use maybe in Inquisitor 28 as well. You've got some some nice miniatures on the way. So keep an eye out for that Kickstarter very soon.
I like Apollonia. She make very good Madonna for your original games of Necromunda.
She would. I'm not entirely sure that the chest plate is big enough, but maybe
that's fine.
Green stuff
she's got a plasma gun and she's got a fancy outfit on her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's not a million miles away. If she had some sort of chainsword type thing, but that could be added.
True.
I've got plenty of those kicking around.
Yeah.
I don't know where my copy of Madonna went, so just need somebody.
Probably somewhere in the loft, Jerry, at this point.
I did find 40 Eschers.
Oh.
But she wasn't amongst them. I've got to have options. What can I say?
Times.
Yeah, it is sad times. Right, that's enough news, I believe. So we shall come back with some 3D printing. Okay then, folks, we're ready to take a look at this week's 3D printing from Eskice.
Yes.
Eskice.
Eskice. It's done by a guy called Aaron. So there we go.
Oh, that's much easier to say. Hello, Aaron.
Yeah. So Aaron is a sculptor from France. And Eskice Miniatures will be one that we've looked at in the past as part of a 3D printing is the Shiz. But in this case, I was scouting around on the internet because obviously this weekend is all about the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Yeah. And so I was looking around online to see if I could find some good 3D printing companies who work on World War II stuff. And one of the major ones was Eskice, as you can see here, and all the work by Aaron. And lo and behold, there is a heck of a lot of stuff that they have worked on over the past little while. They do tanks, they do infantry, they do accessories, they do huge pieces of artillery. So if you want to run big crews with massive Big Bertha-esque guns, you've got that option. They do really fun little kind of vignettes and stuff like that for telling interesting stories as part of dioramas. And one of the nicest things is that I think they kind of go into all the sort of nooks and crannies and bring forth lots of cool kits that kind of plug the gaps in existing ranges. So if you want to find particular variants, be they winter or summer of some forces, they do those. You can get a huge band of Russian conscripts running forward, which I think is really nice. Alongside a whole bunch of other bits and pieces as well.
There are even Belgians.
Those
My word.
Waffle-loving Mother Hubbards.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
This actually popped up as part of a... There's a huge Reddit community that have their own subreddit dedicated to where you find 3D printable World War II stuff. And it's actually a lot harder than you'd think. A lot of the 3D printing sphere seems to be aimed towards kind of sci-fi and fantasy and some pulpy stuff. And historical is slightly more on the down low.
Woefully underrepresented is the phrase.
Yes, I think very true. But for a lot of people who want very specific things, I think 3D printing is definitely the way to go, because there's less of, well, if I really want to make a truck or a tank in this configuration, I don't really want to go to the effort of tooling this in plastic. But if I do an STL file and you can download it and print it, it's a lot cheaper on that front, and people can dive in and pick it up as and when they like.
I love this with the crew. It
is lovely. It's really cool. Yeah,
I've got one of those sitting over there.
The finish of a lot of this stuff is brilliant as well. I know Aaron has shown off a lot of his stuff in his galleries and things. But as you can see, look at that. That's a finished piece. I think that's lovely. Print up a gem. Paint up a gem as well. So yeah, gorgeous stuff indeed.
They're really nice. French Maharists.
You need camels.
Troopers. Camelry, devastating. Once they get started, it's very difficult to stop them. Everybody loves a good bit of camelry.
The Katusha. Somewhere, Shay is going,
Shay's vibrating.
The sound of a Katusha.
Uncle Joe's rocket.
Yeah. A super
Worth
heavy
away.
French tank.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's
What am I looking at? Is this a World War One?
Nope.
Well, they actually used this in World War Two.
Again, no.
Oh, okay.
Do you not remember the whole
you have to
invasion
remember-
thing?
You have to remember two things. One is the French in World War One, their tanks were more like a modern tank than the Germans and British, with the Suma and things like that. This, I think, was a paper panzer. I don't know if I ever saw action, but it follows on from that design aesthetic. It's just bigger than the little Suma.
Yeah.
It may have been built. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think it's more likely to have been a design piece, like the Tog. Choo choo,
Yeah.
I'm a dog.
This is the perfect example of what's quite good about 3D printing in this sphere. Is like that would be a pain in the ass to do in doing a traditional resin or plastic or whatever or metal. But if you do it as an STL file, break it down as much as you need to, make it easy for people to print at home, and then make it a reality, which I think is quite nice. So yeah. I will say I think one of my favorites is a lot of their sort of squad stuff. So all the things they've done as variants. So if you are somebody who's looking to maybe you've grabbed a bunch of World War II stuff from Warlord Games and you built up a fun, Brit or German army or whatever, and you want to throw in like another set of 10 miniatures and just kind of vary things up a little bit. I think this is the perfect opportunity for you to do that. Have some fun with it, which I think is quite nice. Lovely adobe houses.
Yes.
Very good.
They don't look like your standard adobe.
But it's stuff like this that you don't see that often. That's where you're really.
Schwinn wagons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Little tiny motorboats.
They are good, clean family fun, though. Everybody likes them.
Yeah.
Much better than the Kubel. You can go for a dip in the lake afterwards.
French mortar teams.
Is
Isn't there a
Aaron doing all these himself then?
Yeah.
Wow. He's a
Talented man.
talented fellow.
Yeah.
He fell into the groove of what he just likes doing.
Could be. Oh, the snipers and ghillie suits are really nice.
3D designer, sculptor, and painter. He has his own YouTube channel as well. So
Does he print and paint the stuff on the YouTube channel then?
I'm not sure actually. I haven't looked at his YouTube channel in too much depth, but I'll have a look.
Look at that, Scottish gamekeepers coming at you. Like some sort of crazy cultist.
Do you want to have a look at a gallery page? Because there's a gallery page, a lot of
Look at some of his stuff.
physically printed
Do
stuff.
this. You
He
be all
over on
you
his
can be.
YouTube channel, he talks about printing and sculpting a lot of his stuff over there. So if you're interested in following the process, he has some. But yeah, you can see some that he's printed himself and some that other people have printed as part of the community, which I think is quite good. So you can see the variants in different prints and how they've come out. And as I say all the
20
time,
mil scale as well.
Yeah.
That's
So
the great
they're
thing about
rescalable.
this. You can scale
So,
them up and down.
yeah. So as I say, every time we dive into anything to do with 3D printing, it's always nice to see what the finished article is going to look like. Because
Some of
sometimes
these are
you can't
finished.
know. Yeah.
Yo.
I love
Good
that guy
times.
leaping over the fallen tree.
Yeah, the para.
This dude.
Yeah, he's cool.
That's an action photo.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that'd be better is if there was some sort of motion blur. Give the illusion of speed and movement.
I can sort that out for you. There you go.
Nice. Thank you.
But yeah, very, very cool stuff there from Eskice Miniatures. If you're interested in going to check that out, there'll be a link down below. Go and print to your heart's content and have some fun in World War II with your 3D printer by your side.
Yeah, it's very much the coming thing, I believe. World War II. Obviously, we've got Fight for Victory has just landed, and not too far away from the 3rd edition of Blot Action as well, from Walad.
Perfect opportunity for you to start building.
Oh, here we go.
So,
oh, he spotted something. Painted ghillie
starters
suits.
in ghillie suits. Yes.
Look at them.
Where are they?
Exactly. You don't know. You'll never know.
That guy's just painted a rock.
Maybe it's one of those Frodo wearing the One Ring models.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Anyway, right. Shall we move on from World War II and finish off the show with a couple of Kickstarters? And we have a beautiful pair of Kickstarters coming.
We really do.
The first of which is Monolithic.
Ha! I see what you did there, sir. So Monolith are back on Kickstarter with their next sojourn, their next journey into the world of mythology. Mythic Battles is back with the third big set, which is now exploring. So I did there, set, which is now exploring ancient Egypt. The pantheon of gods is back once again, like a renegade master, to fight over the mortal realms with a whole host of amazing new plastic miniatures alongside heroes, monsters, and all sorts of different things that have been drawn from Egyptian mythology. The game plays as you imagine it would do if you've watched any of our stuff in the past about Mythic Battles. You start by choosing one of your gods, and then you draft pick your selection of heroes, monsters, and troops, which is a really fun little kind of mini game before you dive into the actual game. And then you battle it out to try and secure victory across a variety of different scenarios on the tabletop. It's obviously the game has changed and developed since its initial release with Pantheon. It obviously has been tweaked and sort of developed slightly over the course of time. The Norse one, so Ragnarok, I think a lot of people absolutely loved. And also you can pick up that game again here as part of this Kickstarter, but it has then been refined again with Mythic Battles. So yes. I
see a lot of the pharaohs are in here as gods.
Yes.
Which is
gods
nice.
And heroes, yes.
Well, that's it, because they haven't just gone solely, here's the pantheon of Egyptian mythology, because all the pharaohs literally call themselves divine representation. So having them as characters, even if it's somebody like that trader Akhenaten, take your sun god and shove it, Sonny Jimbo.
Do they have actual pictures of the miniatures anywhere on here? Or am I just doom scrolling for nothing?
So if you go back up to the... Well, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah. So you can scroll through the miniatures and see what you think of them. But obviously, when it comes to Mythic Battles, the gods are very big. So they're coming in around kind of, I think it's like 54 to 56 millimeters tall.
Yeah.
For some of the god models. Heroes and troops tend to come in around 32 to 35 millimeter in terms of size. Monsters, including the Titan size stuff, is ridiculously big. I still remember the one from Mythic Battles Pantheon. I think it was it just what was his name? Was it Kronos that they had in that set?
Kronos. Yes, that sounds about right. God of gods.
He was huge. I sold all my stuff, but there we go.
Father Zeus.
But yes, they've really gone to town with the miniatures once again. And if you've picked up any of the stuff that Monolith have been doing over the last little while, so for example, if you've dived into the Conan stuff they did last year, they have really upped. Well, I mean, their quality was always good, but they've upped their quality of their miniatures once again for Mythic Battles going forward. So you're going to get some really nice sculpts out of this. So if you're going to play, well, obviously you can play Mythic Battles Isfet with this stuff, but if you wanted to dive into some of the fun fantasy games that are out there by various indie creators and things where you want to pick up a bunch of ancient gods and stuff, play games with them, perfect opportunity for you to do that here with these.
Trees!
Bad trees.
It's because you could throw them at people. Because it's Mythic Battles. You can throw trees at people and all sorts of things in Mythic Battles. It's great. There are core set options for pledges for both Isfet and Ragnarok. But if you want to pick up the all-in pledges for both, they are obviously discounted as part of the Kickstarter campaign. And you get, I think, like 2 or 3 expansions for each set. I know Ragnarok has a few more.
Look at this. I can't not visualize the Rock's face on this.
Somebody do that now.
That was the worst CGI that 1987 ever had to offer.
Yeah.
And they did it in the 2000s.
In a similar vein, I want someone to sit down with a friend at the tabletop, and as they go to open the rulebook, go, do not read from the book.
I think that's going to be pretty much par for the course.
Yeah.
What do the Bainbridge scholars know anyway?
But I think this is looking great. It's a it was an obvious next step for them to dive into ancient Egypt. It's really nice to see that people are using this opportunity to get their hands on Ragnarok and stuff for Pantheon as well. So if you now have everything that they've done, once this lands, you're going to have so much to choose from. And I think the draft potential is phenomenal. Hopefully people really dive into it and sort of really embrace it as kind of like a competitive game as well as a narrative one. I think that'd be quite nice.
105 millimeters. Ooh.
Yeah, he's a big boy. I will also say, I talked about the way that you play. That's just one of the variants. There is also another option which is slightly more narrative focused, where instead of you doing the draft pick between characters, you actually have asymmetrical sides. So it's based on, for example, in Ragnarok, it was based on a particular saga or a particular story, and then you play out that with a different set of victory conditions. So if you're somebody who doesn't necessarily want to go down the, I say ultra competitive, but competitive route for Mythic Battles, you do have other options, which I think is quite nice as part of the game. So yes, lots and lots in store from Monolith for this one.
Ooh,
and I think they've
nice
become...
touch.
I thought that was a nice touch too, because I've been scrolling down this page going, oh, this is so nice looking.
And also,
like
strangely enough, I would say, I think a lot of people know about ancient Greece, and a lot of people know about not ancient, but Dark Age Norse mythology and stuff like that. I don't think people really know as much about ancient Egypt. I know I don't necessarily know a lot about it. So having things like that art book to tell you a little bit more about the characters and their background, I think is a really nice step for people to go and learn a little bit more.
That's because the dude in charge of Egypt's archaeology won't let anybody know anything about Egypt. He hides it all.
Yeah, you can find out more via the medium of Moon Knight and Tom Holt's comedy books. They will tell you all you need to know about ancient Egypt and the pantheon of gods.
So not that Christian Bale movie then? No.
Not that. That never existed.
Gods of Egypt. No.
That was a fever dream. Don't worry.
But they were playing gods, right? That was... No? Okay. Never mind.
Nobody was doing anything. You're thinking of Batman.
Batman. Yeah. Of course.
Oh, this video moves around so much. Is there any bit that isn't like motion blurred?
No, it was shot by Jerry.
There we go.
How else do you get the idea that they're moving?
Yeah.
Freaks.
Motion blurs. I'd like to stress that the miniatures don't actually move, obviously.
Disclaimer. They are not animated avatars.
They don't have freaking laser beams coming out of their eyes.
Bear in mind, they only do this whenever you're asleep at night.
Yes.
But then they do all of this.
Toy Story style. Yeah.
Yep.
There we go. Finally on focus. Look at
that. Yeah. If you're interested, by the way, we have loads of Let's Plays of Ragnarok and Pantheon over on Tabletop. So if you want to see how the game plays, go and check those out. See what you think.
Yeah. I'll be fascinated to see what things the community could do with multiple sets. Because I would love to see somebody, rocking up and maybe draft picking from a selection.
Yeah.
Or just going full flat out the gods of Egypt against, these ne'er-do-well incomers from Greece and Rome. Which is the best pantheon? Who's the strongest? Because theoretically, there's no reason why you couldn't mix and match.
No.
The rule set's consistent across them.
Yeah. Yeah. Next
Somebody
step.
do that. Write a battle report, put it in the projects, tag me. I'll come
Next step.
Actually
Chinese or Japanese mythology, maybe?
I think the Egyptian stuff's actually
Asian,
cooler.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
I think the Egyptian stuff's turned out to be cooler than the Norse stuff, surprisingly.
It's probably because it's stuff that you've not really seen, I think. I'm a massive Norse mythology fan, so that's my bag. But yeah, I think it's because it's a lot of different miniatures and designs and sculpts and background that you've never really delved into before. I think it's what will draw people in. It's obviously funded. So yes.
Yeah, 13 days left on it as well. So should be fun for people who want to give it a swizz. I think they might stop off in the Near East first. I think you may see something Persian, Old Kingdom, Gilgameshi, or that sort of thing. Then is there enough to flesh
maybe
out
go Indian?
Indian would definitely have enough if they went there. Once again, Ireland being ignored. This is an outrage that will not go unpunished. When I am king, you'll all be against the wall.
Ireland's being ignored because everyone thinks Leprechaun.
Ireland's been ignored because none of them have ever read any Irish myth.
Yeah, so
Christ on a
everyone thinks Leprechaun.
Christ on a bike, we have a wealth of stuff. If you want to run a war game with mythical gods and soldiery, the Fomorians, the Firbolg, they're all in there. Balor of the Evil Eye. I mean, we literally have myths called the Book of Invasions.
That goblin with no legs from Hellboy 2?
Nope, he is not a thing. And
I think it's because maybe there's like a cost per letter, and they've looked at the Gaelic and they've gone, maybe we can't do this.
No, it's just it's simple racism from the gaming community once again. Racist gamers. How many times do you go to Greece? Never once come to Ireland. Scum. Anyway, we have another Kickstarter to take a look at. Mm-hmm. And this one's being run by Firelock Games, inviting people to come and play in Port Royal. So we did mention this a couple of weeks ago, since it was kicking off while we were making Carpet Angels at UKG. Sure likes no angels, but the rug burns. Oh, Lord, the rug burns. It is a miniatures game based around the actual event of the 1692 earthquake that leveled part of an island and the Port Royal itself. But in this semi-mythological, shall we say?
That was a data blast and a half of photos.
Yes. That's why I have to record it and play it back frame by frame at the end of
For anybody complaining about, I went too fast, nothing to do with us.
So the campaign itself is to get your hands on gangs trying to rebuild and stake their claim to the island and Port Royal itself after the explosive devastation vis-a-vis the earthquake. It's a small-scale skirmish game, so it builds on the rule system that Firelock have used for the likes of Blood and Plunder and Blood and ... games. So it's a D10 system, card-driven, but rather than playing with 30 to 50 figures, depending on what you're doing, you're going to be playing with sort of maybe half a dozen, 8 figures, but they are campaign-based games. So you go into Port Royal, you play the scenarios, you attempt to get whatever loot, steal whatever food you need to keep your gang alive, and deal with natives, British, Dutch, or whatever else happens to be in there, and occasionally wild animals that have been driven into Port Royal by the earthquake. So the Kickstarter itself will get you the core game. You can also get the dice, decks and miniatures if you don't have them already. They are using the same hard plastics that they developed for the new Blood and Plunder 2-player starter set. So if you have any of those already, you may not need to pick up some things like the tokens and the like. Yes, somebody went shopping at UKG. Yeah. He got himself that. Those that I'm waiting for you to drop it and just level your computer. It's a beast of a box. That is not the same as Port Royal. You will not require a coffin-shaped box to take you home. Yeah. But the miniatures are there, so if you already have them, great. If not, this is a great way to start playing 17th century piracy games. Mm-hmm. The set will also come with some punchboard terrain, you can see there, and a map. 3x3, thereabouts. So you're playing very dense, packed games. You can shuffle around the environs of Port Royal, which is Mordheim-like in that it's been devastated, so you can do a lot of ruined buildings, smashed up warehouses and taverns as you creep your way through. They have been unlocking as they go, as you can see, some new characters as well to add to the existing characters. And I think some of the accessory sprues from the Blood and Plunder Kickstarter are also involved in this, so it adds things like hook hands and parrots for your shoulder and things like that, so you can modify your figures further. Although those plastic sets, if you go back and have a look at my unboxings, the pirates set is, sailors set is very comprehensive as it is, as far as weaponry goes. A mix of melee and ranged weapons, including pistols and grenades. So the character sprues and the like will help add a nice bit of flavor to your gang as they go on campaign. And as you try and carve out your own niche within Port Royal, you'll be able to add more and more sort of flavor to your figures as they develop and gain skills over time. Interesting thing about this for me was the talk of a solo/cooperative system, which we've not seen to date. So there will be a AI style introduction, which will allow you to then play with some friends against, let's face it, probably the British. Just put a load of British
whoever's
regulars,
governing
grenadiers,
Port Royal.
cav into the middle of town going, this is ours. I want you all to get out. And then you have to go and knife the map. See, just like that. Just tell Henry and friends to sod off back to Blighty. So I'm really curious to see the campaign system.
Yeah,
because a game like this will live or die based on the campaign system, because we know the rules themselves are solid. They've been going for years now. So that initiative and dice system is all spot on, nailed in. The campaign system is what they've really been working on, and then that solo bit as well.
Where are the miniatures from? Are these miniatures all coming from different sets and things that they've already made, or are these new miniatures for this?
No, they're sets that are already made, with the exception of the unlocks for this.
So are they plastics or metals?
Plastic. Well, both.
Yeah.
The miniatures you're seeing here are plastics.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously they have their existing metal range, which is actually being transferred into
resin.
Resin. So 3D printed resin versions are also available. So you could potentially just go, I just want nothing but the character models from Blood and Plunder, and go through their existing range and go, I want him, I want him, I want him. It'll be slightly more expensive. The plastics are multi-part. So the militia, soldiers, sailors, and cavalry are the 4 boxes. No, 5 boxes, because there's also the natives. So yeah, you've got 5 multi-part plastic kits already. And then there's also a hero set, which contains a lot of named characters, but each one of which is a really good character for sculpt.
Yeah, you
so
could
I'm
just
not sure
tweak it or update it to fit your own.
Or just use as is, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very true.
Because each one is so individualized of those characters, they'll make absolutely spanking gorgeous figures. The 3-man character set there with Blackbeard, the priest, and I'm not sure who the other one is. It might be Henry Morgan, might be somebody else. I have seen somebody converted him into Captain Hook from the accessory sprue.
Amazing.
That set of 3 is yes, that little hook there. That set of 3 was I think Blood and Plunder Kickstarter exclusive, so they haven't been released separately, and I don't know if they'll be released separately after this, or maybe they will. Maybe they'll tack them in there. But they're a bit different from because you've got a set of Blackbeard and I can't remember the British.
So just to recap,
name.
If I got this game and I played it, would I basically have the basics of playing Blood and Plunder under my belt, or is it?
Yes,
quite
core mechanics are the same. So
obviously there will be variants because it's a skirmish game compared to a larger scale game, but
you'll have the flavor of it moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah,
and the bidding and the cards and stuff like that.
Bidding, activation, and dice rolls are all part and parcel, as are fatigue and reloading, and that's so the game mechanics, the core game mechanics for Blood and Plunder are encapsulated in this. Then you just need to build on that with whatever it happens to be. And you can pick it up, like I say, via PDF or physical book if you already have Blood and Plunder. Like if you've got a massive set that you're leaning on right now, Lloyd, then you could just grab the PDF of the new set and you've already got everything you need at your feet to play.
That's an idea.
Literally at your feet. It's right there, Lloyd. You reach out and stroke it. Touch it for me.
I got it.
There you go. So yes. Yeah, you've got in there, you've enough for 2, possibly even 3 gangs in there.
Yeah, probably.
That you could then add to and go nuts with.
Gee whiz.
You're going to hurt yourself.
Just a reminder of what's in here. Gee whiz.
I'm so waiting for you to just smash your tower with that. There's 2 characters there. I can't remember the British, and I should know. Maynard, yeah. Came to me in a flash. Like a fruit pastille or wine gum. So yes, you need to rig your ships, and don't forget, if you don't
I'm not doing
tie
that.
your
You can
if you
rig
don't
my
tie your
ships.
cannons to the deck, then they will
They
go
fly up.
backwards and smash through the other side of the ship. So that all has to be done.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
require a pulley system as well.
Realistic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. You won't build my Rome, you better rig your ships.
The day I rig ships is the day that you build Rome.
Touche, Mr. Man. Touche. Right. So yes, if you fancy some campaigning action in Port Royal, there's 28 days left. So you've got a month to get involved. Already funded as well for that one. I think that wraps us up for another week.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to pop over to OnTableTop.com.
Swing!
And pop a comment below the video there if you want to win that big D-Day Bolt Action bundle.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you want to support
D-Day +1.
And if you want to support what we're doing, hop over to the OnTableTop store, swing, where you can buy what, Jerry?
Buy merch.
Absolutely no merch.
Absolutely no merch. We have no merch. We have merch. You have to come and visit us and go in if you want any of that.
We have merch. It's called Games Workshop products.
It's not merch. It's the very antithesis of merch. While you're there, though, you can sign up for a free 30-day account if you haven't already, and join our cultists, because on Sunday morning we'll be back for the XLBS, where we'll be talking hobby, ours and yours, in a gentle meandering waffle for several hours, probably. Discuss. Right. We'll see you on Sunday, and if not, we'll see you next Friday. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.